All right, guys, not your typical video that we're used to seeing, not the typical intro. I had someone ask me what my carry option would be if I was going on like a day trip. Like we've all seen what my day-to-day carry is, you know, knives and stuff like that. So this is out. We're going to look at all these items, and we're not doing a face-to-face because the first item you're going to see is something I'm currently wearing. So let's go ahead and take a look at this one by one, and we're going to talk about what I would carry if I was like going on a day trip to the desert. So like I said in the intro, guys, I have been known to make day trips out to the desert or even an overnight trip. And this is a lot like what I would typically throw in my pack for day to day. Some of the stuff goes in my pocket on a daily basis, and some of the stuff is reserved for different trips. So the first thing we're going to look at is the jacket that I'm wearing. So let's go ahead and take a look at that, and then we'll get into this stuff.
First thing we're going to talk about is proper attire. If you dress to the environment you're in, you're going to have a much better time if you wind up being stranded overnight. If you get stuck overnight, say something happens, or if you just change your plans and you go out. So proper attire and a proper sleeping system. So in with your gear, you should also have a good sleeping bag that's going to keep you comfortable, allow you to be a little more comfortable. And if something happens and you're stuck out there and it does get cold, at least you can wrap up in a sleeping bag. The nice thing about this jacket is it has pockets everywhere. It has 9 separate pockets that you can use. It's a lot like those bearskin sleep fleece that you have. You can layer this with other clothing items because it's not that heavy. It's just something nice to have. I have a weatherproof version of this that was sent to me. Both of them are Zero Foxtrot. They came from Winston Cobretti. So proper attire, proper clothing, having a little bit more than you think you need is sometimes a good idea, especially if you're going out in a car where it's not a weight limit. Like if you can throw more stuff in a vehicle, throw it in just in case you think you need it. Take it. Like if you have a thought in your head, I may need this, take it, throw it in. Throw in warm clothes, throw in dry clothes. You don't want to be wet and cold. It's miserable. So that's your first item. Proper attire and clothing for the environment you're going to be in.
So like I said, proper attire is important, but along with that, if you're going out, I always have at least one knife, and at least if I'm going out for a day, if I'm going out to the field, if I'm maybe going to be overnight, I carry a small pocket stone. This is a Nev diamond stone. This is a 2x4. It's a 100-400 combo. I can touch up my knife. It's really good. I always, I'm not gonna lie, this is my go-to pocket knife if I'm going out of, you know, if I'm gonna be out overnight in a camping or overnight scenario, like I might go out to the desert with some friends. We're going to do some truck camping or something like that. This is a very great knife for that. It meets all the requirements. It's easy to maintain. It's got a great edge and blade profile. It's going to meet most of my day-to-day tasks. If I don't need anything like a hatchet or stuff like that, we're probably going to have that stuff on the truck. But it is absolutely nice to have a very good knife, something that's easy to maintain, something that is going to cut well, continue to cut well, and a way to sharpen it. So there is my second item after the proper attire. So let's go ahead and bring up the next item. And it's absolutely a notebook and pen. This becomes really important because what you want to note, like if say you go out to the desert and you're on your way in and you get lost or the vehicle breaks down, you have to try to walk your way back out. Well, if you happen to be off a trail or if it's been windy, you can't follow your tracks back. What you can do is you take your notebook and you write down any landmarks, like how far did we drive? We drove 5 minutes past this such and such big rock. It's something that you have to kind of make a conscious effort to remember to do. But it's always nice to have a notebook and pen so that you can do those things, so you can write down little landmarks, things like that, so you can remember or maybe possibly find your way back, which is going to lead us to the next item that is really important that goes along with that. And that is some sort of GPS. Now you can use your phone. Your phone has a very accurate GPS tracker. It has a pretty good antenna that picks up a GPS signal. This is also another option. I don't think they make these anymore. I've had this for years. This is a digital compass, and it absolutely is a GPS compass. You can set waypoints. You can set different waypoints. You can have a compass, set waypoints for different things. And this thing is pretty good as a GPS tracker. I don't trust the compass so much, but you can absolutely use this to track a location back. And these are things that I did earlier playing with to see how accurate it was. But with those, you're going to need some things with it. This runs on batteries. I absolutely recommend something that has got a good battery life. This Backtrack by Bushnell runs on 2 AA batteries. and lasts a very, very long time. I've like literally had batteries in this for a year. But if you're going to use your, see, there you go. Sorry. If you're going to use your phone, I recommend taking some sort of charging pad with you. If you're going to be out overnight, this thing works. This is just a 1600 milliamp battery bank that I can use to recharge my phone and my watch. Your watch, actually, if you have some of the newer generation Apple Watches, has GPS in it. So those are things that I recommend. Some sort of a GPS locator where you can set a waypoint and get your way back to it to go along with your directions. So there you go. GPS of some sorts. Next is a flashlight. I absolutely have gotten to the point where I have a flashlight in my pocket almost 24/7. I did not realize how convenient and how important an EDC flashlight is. You can see this thing has been beat around. This is my Olight Baton 3. There's other options. I have an Olight Warrior 3. Great light. This would be more something I would throw in a backpack, but there are other options. You can find some of these small little lights. This one's not rechargeable. This one is. This one I like for the outdoor purpose because it has a charger. So if you're using it, you can throw this in your pack. You charge this up and you can charge your Baton 3 many more times and you can get that thing charged. You can see this thing is fully charged. No, it's not. But you can throw it in here, charge it just like a set of like headphones, like a charger case set of headphones. And then you have a ready, source of light. It's always good to have a flashlight if you're going somewhere. I have this like literally in my pocket 24/7. This one sits on my workbench, as does this one. So a good flashlight can really make the difference in an outdoor situation. If you've got a really good flashlight, this one holds a charge forever. On its lowest setting, you can go like, I think it says like 100 days on its lowest setting and 131 hours on its other setting, and that's just continuous. So having a flashlight, a source of light, always good. Next is a multi-tool of some sorts. I prefer this Swiss Army knife because it has pretty much anything I would want for a small tool set. You're never going to do like big on repairs, full-blown repairs out in the field. You can also take something like this. I prefer these Gerber slide out multi-tools if I'm going to take a multi-tool, because you have a lot of options in that, plus a pair of pliers. There's a needle nose version of these. They have wire cutters, all kinds of stuff that you can do with these. And then they're nice and compact and they slide down in. The Swiss Army knife, that leaves you like 2 is 1, 1 is none. That's always the old adage. This has 2 knives in it. This has 2 knives in it. If you already have a pocket knife, you basically have 3 knives. This has a screwdriver, wire cutters, scissors, a bunch of other stuff on it. But this doesn't take up a lot of space. And it is always nice to have something. If you need to tighten something up, like a screwdriver or something like that, you've got an option as opposed to not having it. So that's something I absolutely recommend. A lot of times, if I'm going out, if I'm going somewhere for like a day trip, if I'm going out to the desert with my friends, I will take both of these because it just gives me more options. So there you go. Multi-tool, nice little thing to have. So this next item should be further up the list if you're doing it by importance, but I'm just doing it just randomly. And that's a way to make fire in the wilderness, in the woods. Having a fire equals survival. Now, a lot of people are gonna go, well, Mike, you live in Southern California. How bad could it be? Well, if you go out to the desert, I don't know if you've ever been out to the desert. It gets cold AF at night in parts of the desert. You can go from 90 degrees down into the 30s and 40s really easily because there's nothing there to hold in the heat. So having something, a little tinder kit like this is great to have. So what's in here is a bunch of Fiberlight fire starters tinder and wax and braiding tinder. This has a whistle and a ferro rod to strike the tinder. This is 100% waterproof. It comes like this. Just having a lighter is a good option. I have a small ferro rod that was done by Fiberlight fire starters. These were necklaces that comes with a striker and everything and a whistle. But you can get away with just simple things like just having a lighter in your pocket. Some way to start a fire is always better than nothing because it does get cold in the desert. Even though it can be, like I said, it can be up in the 90s during the day. There's nothing to hold that in. It gets really cold. So fire, that probably is your most survival oriented thing that's on this list. But yeah, it's important. So Our final item is coming right up, and that's a good and reliable compass. Now, I will say a good and reliable compass gets you nowhere if you don't know how to use it. So I would take some online courses. There are survival courses that you can do online and things like that that teach you how to use a map and compass properly. A good compass is amazing. This is such a good compass. My father got this for me before I ever joined the military, and I joined the military in 1991. So that should tell you this is a very, very good compass. It still is accurate. It still is true. I bounce it off of GPS and things like that all the time. But a good compass gets you nowhere. This is why it's last. A good compass gets you nowhere if you don't know how to read a map and use a compass. Don't go into the wilderness with a compass and a map and think, oh, I've got this. You don't. You're going to get lost. They're going to have to send out search and rescue. You would be much better off to have something like this where you can set a waypoint. These two in conjunction are great. Like having a compass so you know which direction you're heading if you took notes. But don't think that just because you have a compass and a map that by any long stretch you're going to be able to go out into the wilderness and find your way home. You'll be lost and someone will have to look for you or your remains. So please, with all these items I've said, they do you no good if you don't know how to use them, if you're not prepared when you go out in the wilderness. Preparedness is the key. I would point you in the direction of ReadyMan Group and check out a bunch of their stuff because they can get you. I know that they have stuff online. There's a lot of tutorials online. There's land nav information that's available online. Please prepare yourself before you go out in the wilderness. So that being the end of it, this might be a little bit longer video because there was a lot of stuff I wanted to touch on. So let's turn this around, do some final thoughts, and send you home.
So there you go, guys. That was just a real quick look at like what I would take if I thought there was a possibility that I would be out overnight, be it in the desert, be it in like the woods. It doesn't matter. All of them apply. It's just like, you know, you have to know what environment you're going to be in. I absolutely recommend for all this, like I said earlier in the video, go to ReadyMan, ReadyManGroup.com or ReadyMan.com. I can't remember which it is, but go to ReadyMan. Look it up. Jeff has built a whole bunch of stuff. There are a lot of availability for online outdoor survival tips and things like that. There's a ton of guys that do it on YouTube that can show you what gear you should have. These are just the things that I typically would take out. Like even if I don't think I'm going to spend the night, it's going to go in my backpack anyway, because there's a chance that we may change our mind and decide we're going to stay out, or we might get out there and it gets dark, or it may get foggy, or weather might blow in. You never know what's going to happen when you go out for a day trip in these areas. And the desert is a very volatile environment that can change in a moment's notice. So that's typically what I would think for is I'm going out to the desert. What could happen? So if you get stuck, it's always good to have stuff. Guys, that's the end on this one. I'm not going to do a lot of pontificating. You guys know how to support the channel. Like, share, subscribe, drop a comment. Drop the comments, hit the like. It's great. Ton of affiliate links. Use any of them. I get directly supported, and I have a membership, 3 different tiers, bunch of different stuff. Guys, already a long video. I love you all. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. Keep it clean in the comment section, and I will see you